Hello, I'm Dr. Kevin Muthersbaugh from Muthersbaugh Chiropractic. Can you believe it's July? Can you believe it's almost time for the kids to head back to school? So this is the perfect timing for this video. What we're going to talk about today is just the 5 strategies that my wife and I employ successfully in our house to make sure our kids have a great start to the day. I'm going to start with our major premise, and that is healthy kids are happy kids, and happier kids are more successful. So we want to make sure that our kids have a great start to their day. We bonfire up their morning. With bonfire, we teach that your health is your bonfire. That's where your heart and your light and your energy comes from. The way that you eat is your fuel, the way that you move is your air, and the way that you think is your spark. Those 3 elements, when they come together, the natural consequence is fire. And if any of those 3 elements are missing, there's no fire. Well, I want my kids bonfired up for their day. I want them to have a great day. We look at the typical American morning, what it sounds like. Everyone is usually up and rushed and they're kind of stressed out. Breakfast, if anything, gets rushed. It's a deficient choice or a toxic choice or sometimes even both. Then the kids rush off to school, usually with breakfast in their hand, trying to make the bus, trying to make a carpool. You know, it could be really stressful for a family. I get it. I see it myself. And you have kids going to different schools in 2 opposite directions. Moms are stressed out, dads are stressed, so we want to be very deliberate and establish a mechanism that will protect that environment, because it's just so important and critical that we start our day strong. Great days always start with great mornings. If you want to master your life, you have to master your week. In order to master your day, and in order to master your day, you have to master your morning. So when we look at our mornings, we employ these 5 strategies to make sure that our kids need to have a great day and a great start. Let's start with rule number 1. Fuel is how they eat. I know this is a challenge for all families and all kids. I know, I get it. What we do in our family is we make sure to employ smoothies in their morning routine. Smoothies are the best way by far to make sure that your kids get the nutrition first thing in the day. We just pack those smoothies with so much rich nutrients, and it's so delicious. The smoothie rules are as follows. They're very simple. Where's the plant? Where's the fat? Where's the protein? There are plenty of recipes for you and your bonfire at our bonfire site at bonfirehealth.com. Just make sure you have some greens in there, some fats, and some proteins. But unfortunately, most people who make smoothies, and nice work by the way, it's a great start. You know, I just want to make sure that you're doing them properly so it's not just a fruit and sugar bomb for your kids. Let's make sure you get the greens, the fats, and the proteins in there. I say it's the ultimate Trojan horse. It's a delivery system to your kids that you could get in some raw vegetables like baby spinach, baby kale. My kids love that. You could even throw in some blueberries. A half a banana is what we always throw into our smoothie. And there's totally different, delicious, and nutritious varieties as well. Rule number 2, movement. This one really disturbs me because I don't see kids moving around like they used to. So you have to make sure your kids are moving. Think about what their day is like. It typically starts, you know, they're sitting at the car, they're sitting in the car on the school bus, then they're off to school, and they sit some more. They sit all day long. We look at what kids would do in nature, and it's actually the complete opposite of what kids do today. When you leave kids alone, what do? They go and they run around. They run around like crazy, like my kids. We want to make sure that we get them out there, we get them moving, and we get them moving early in the morning to get things fired up for them. So let's get these kids moving. There's a book you should read. It's John Rathley's called Spark. where he talks about the research and the relationship between movement and learning. What the research is now showing is that the way the brain is hardwired so that movement and learning go together, you see our ancestors used to have to move, they used to have to move to find food, used to have to remember where the food was. So now we know that the way that kids have to move first before they are actually ready to learn is very important. There's actually a chemical that is released in the bloodstream in the brain, in the brain level, called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this is the miracle factor of the brain, as Dr. Rettig puts it. It's literally chemically and neurologically, it prepares the brain and it gets it ready to move, which is usually the opposite of what the kids do in a typical day. Here's what they do though. They're told, sit in the chair, sit down and be quiet, listen and learn. But it's actually quite the opposite. We need to have them moving. We need to get these kids up and going so they can actually learn easier and remember what they learn. In our house, we employ strategies like, believe it or not, pillow fights. We play hockey in our foyer. In the garage, we like to wrestle. I have mats out there, my kids. We actually have multiple ways for my kids to jump around. I'm usually the jungle gym in our house. I'm the playground, and I love that. That's one of the best things that they could do. We are very active, and that starts off very early in the morning. It just helps them to relax, gets them less stressed, less anxious. They're kind of getting that brain-body connection going very first thing in the morning, and then we get them out onto their day. Rule number 3, of course, I'm a chiropractor. So I'm that neurotic health parent. You can laugh at me all that you want, but I want to make sure that my kids have a great start to their day. So I check their spine and nerve system every morning. It may be crazy, but think about it. Your kids, they think about what they do. They're jumping, they're running, and my kids don't need to be adjusted every day, but I need to check them. And I know I'm a sideline parent as well. I like to coach my kids, in the backyard and run around at some of their events. I love to do that. And you think nothing is going on with your kids, but I'm going to tell you, between carrying a book bag all day, between running around, the amount of falls they have, the amount of times I see my son flip over a chair trying to do a new stunt or a new thing to impress me, it's really amazing what does happen to their spine. My kids are young, so they don't sit there and watch TV or they're playing on iPods, but we see that every single day in our office. We'll see children come in and they get immediately onto a phone or an iPod. So we want to check their spine, check their nervous system, and make sure that they are clear from any interference into that nervous system. Remember, it's the nervous system, that's the master system of the body. It runs everything. So I want my kids' nervous system firing. I want my kids to have the opportunity to grow up healthy and develop optimally, as opposed to waiting for a crisis like we were taught to do. I hope that makes sense. Number 4 is to make sure that their head is on right. I know that sounds a little silly, but there's another book I want you to read. See, now it's homework time, and I know it's July, and you're sitting there and you don't want to do any homework, you don't want to do homework with your kids, but it's just something that you can put on the nightstand and pick up every night before you go to bed. You should be reading the book Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. It's an amazing piece of work. He's out of Harvard, and this, the studies are showing that successful people are successful because they're happy. The happiness comes first, so I wanted to make sure that my kids are happy every time they leave the house. I have a rule: leave the house laughing, let's leave our kids laughing. It's an amazing thing if you just make that standard for yourself. It changes the culture of your morning, the culture of your home, and it also changes the spirit of the children as well. They go off to school laughing and happy and engaged. And it's awesome because it changes your day too. It's a great way to start your day, and that should be your goal. That you and your family leave your home happy every single morning. And sometimes it may even be, at your own expense, just a funny little thing that you could do or a funny little motion you can make. I love to make funny faces and body gestures, and my kids love it, and we always laugh together. There's nothing wrong with making your kids laugh. Now, rule number 5. Now, it's the 2-minute rule here. Now, I know we're all very busy. I get it. We're all overscheduled, overwhelmed, and stressed out. I totally get that. But listen to this. You can't be present all the time. You can't be mindful all the time, but you can do this well. You can do the 2-minute rule very well, which is the first minute of every interaction with another person in your life, and the last minute, think about this. Let's talk about your kids. In the morning, be present, be focused, listen, be loving, look in their eyes, touch them, and let them know that they are special. As well as the last minute and the last moment. Quiet down, be deliberate, force yourself, just listen and connect with them. Our kids are special, so let's make them feel special. What I do in my home is I have one son, I have 2 daughters. Depending upon who I put to bed at night, who my wife puts to bed, we get to rotate that schedule. Whoever I am with, I actually sit down and tell them positive affirmations. So I'll tell them they are awesome, they are special, they are smart, they love to read, they're hard workers, things of this nature. It may sound funny, but I've been doing this, and my son is 2.5 years old now, and I'll look at him and I'll say, "You are awesome." And he'll look up at me and say, "Awesome." I'll say, "You are special." He'll say, "Special." So they get it. It gets in there. You could literally have about 15 to 20 times more negatives thrown at you every day than positives. So start positive, and at the end of the day, end positive. Thanks. Have a great day.